We'd like to look back on the milestones that we've achieved together. We'll have 4 guides on our journey. Don Falk, Executive Director of the Tenderloin Neighborhood Development Corporation, Jane Graff, President of Mercy Housing, Gordon Chin, Founding Executive Director of Chinatown Community Development Center, and Janet Falk, an affordable housing expert. They will take us through what they see as the legacy of NPH's 35 years of advocacy and policy leadership for affordable housing.
When I started this work back in the 1980s, everybody was self-taught in the industry. We just knew there was a problem, people needed affordable housing, and nobody was producing it, and we had to figure out how to do it.
NPH and Chinatown CDC really have quite a shared history. We were founded in 1977. The NPH was started in 1979. And it was started in reflection to a number of neighborhood-based organizations. And they were formed as sort of a trade association to bring people together, to offer us training, but also to develop more of a united front to address very serious housing policy issues facing the Bay Area.
In Northern California, those of us who are affordable housing developers, that is, staff of nonprofit organizations, not to mention the architects and the contractors and the consultants and the lenders and the public sector staff, it's very easy for us to become isolated from one another. And in order to be effective, it's important for us to work collaboratively and to learn collaboratively. And that is really one of the functions that NPH performs.
I would start with the fellowship program for persons of color, which was really an important moment in time in the industry, and NPH stepped up and really made a difference in forcing the industry and the nonprofit community to really address issues of poverty in communities and being able to take individuals in those communities and give them an opportunity to work in the community housing development role. And you know, the gap between those living in the community and those being able to work in this business was huge. NPH saw this, grabbed onto it and said, we can do better, we need to do better, really got us all together in a group and said, we need to create a vehicle to allow people access to this world and this industry, and did that through the fellowship program.
The main thing about NPH is that it's a coalition of all of its members, and it brings the collective wisdom of everyone together and the collective energy of everyone together to work to achieve these goals.
10 or 15 years ago, NPH generated a report on inclusionary housing. And it wasn't simply a report, it also represented a kind of a compromise among the building industry and affordable developers around the place of affordable housing.
It could not have been more timely when you think about the number of inclusionary ordinances that were passed as a result of this grassroots work. And without that today, we would be seeing very different results in terms of the ability to create affordable housing in the explosion of market rate rental housing that's going on in our region today.
They're not just a technical assistance organization. They're on the forefront of public policy. They value the importance of leadership and building strong neighborhood-based organizations.
One of the many great things that NPH does with its now 500 plus members is hold an annual conference. And during the conference, they organize lots of really great workshops, get speakers and panels and so forth. Every year they get 2 or 3 times as many offers or suggestions of workshops as they can actually accommodate on the day of the conference. So one year we all got together and decided, let's reach out to the people who made workshop suggestions that weren't accepted and see if they'd be willing to offer that workshop simply during the year. And they did it. We structured it as something that would happen at lunchtime, and it met with a very popular reception.
We've always felt that it's important for folks working in neighborhood-based organizations to reach beyond our own community and to learn and share with other neighborhoods. And NPH has been a great environment where that happens, where you have nonprofit leaders from all over the Bay Area coming together and learn how the housing problems are different and how they are alike.
In 2002, NPH was instrumental in getting Prop 46 passed, which was $2.1 billion of funding for affordable housing throughout the state, both multifamily and single family. And then in 2006 was a major player in getting Prop 1C passed, which was $2.85 billion. And these two bond issues helped sustain funding for affordable housing in California for many, many years. NPH, both through its work in the statewide organizations and also on its own and through its members, has been key in getting pieces of legislation that had to do with redevelopment, with housing elements, with construction defects, and many other aspects of housing that regulate what the affordable housing developers do. At the federal level, it has lobbied for key pieces of legislation over the years, and it's also helped implement many of the programs as they have been rolled out and started working in the state, including the HOME program and the McKinney Homeless Supportive Housing Act. In addition, it's also worked at the local level and to help gather support for affordable housing, to help people understand what it is, what it does, how not to be afraid of it.
NPH's longtime executive director, Diane Spalding, for a long time has called NPH small but mighty. And it's a really accurate way of thinking about it because it is a relatively small staff, but NPH has exercised outsized influence in local and especially in state politics. NPH's voice is one that really legislators and legislative aides and policymakers everywhere in Northern California really pay attention to. I see NPH as being the nexus of the affordable housing movement in Northern California.